Hello everyone, can you hear me? Yeah, we'll wait for a few minutes, 1 2 minutes, for people to start joining, and then we'll start. Perfect, thank you. Okay, I think we can start. So, if people will join, they'll join, the record will be saved, so everyone can watch it from the beginning or from whatever point they want. The topic is healthy lifestyle and habits, exercise part 1. Uh, my goal is to make meetups in healthy habits theme, and they'll be various from exercise, nutrition, mental health, gut health, but I decided to start with exercise. Part 1 because exercise is really huge topic. Yes, and even to understand like some simple practices that people can use every day, uh, it's better to split them. Who am I? I'm an athlete, training for a bit more than 10 years, calisthenics, gym, a bunch of other sports. I'm writing a healthy lifestyle book, uh, working on a healthy lifestyle course. It's also tied to the book as well. And I'm just healthy habits enthusiast. Because from what I see, a few simple habits here and there, like 5 10 minutes a day, can dramatically change your life. You can have more energy, feel better, improve your body, so body composition, and in general just live longer, feel better. That's the goal of healthy habits, in my opinion. You can find website and waitlist for the book and course there. You can just apply. I made the website by myself, so you can let me know if anything wrong with that because I'm a software engineer, so you can check that out. Okay, so let's go to the topics of the day. First, we'll talk about chronological and biological age, just to understand what those are. Second is why we need to move. We'll talk about VO2 max, no problem, don't worry if you don't know what it is, I'll explain. And cardio training, as well as sedentary lifestyle. But yeah, let's begin. Types of age. Chronological age. It's basically the what we think about age, right? So the number of years you have lived. So if someone's 20, 30, 50 years, that's pretty simple. We all know that. But there is also a biological age. It got popular recently, I would say, like with the advancement of the science. It's how old your body truly is based on various biomarkers of aging. Right now, there are quite a lot, I think like hundreds, maybe thousands, different biomarkers, and science progresses and the amount of them increases. They figure out new biomarkers that can predict your biological age and then use them. You can already check your biological age, just find some labs. They're, to be honest, pretty popular right now. They could be quite expensive, I would say. I don't know, haven't checked the price, so I won't lie to you. But they're pretty popular. Like I think you can find in pretty every city. They should already be there. So basically, you do some blood work and they check your biomarkers and write your estimated biological age. Why it's important? Let's look into an example. For example, we have two people, both chronological age 50. Let's, for simplicity, make them classmates. I don't know. They studied at the same school, at the same class, right? So they're the same age. Okay. Example, person A. He sleeps 7 to 9 hours, so pretty good. Eats nutritious food, so nothing like too fancy, but balanced macros, fiber, low processed food, maybe some Mediterranean diet, so just pretty healthy diet in modern world. He exercises regularly, strength and cardio, a few times per week, we'll talk about that. Manages stress well, maybe do some meditation, breath work, or just he has good stress management. And doesn't smoke or drink excessively. And his estimated biological age from 35 to 42 years old, while his chronological age is 50. Impressive. Okay. Let's go to person B, his classmate. He has poor sleep or inconsistent schedule. Unfortunately, some people, for example, have night shifts and stuff like that. It also influences, but some people just decide for themselves to have inconsistent schedule. But yeah, the idea is like poor sleep. Okay. He eats processed food, lacks nutrients, smokes, drinks alcohol pretty regularly, and have sedentary lifestyle. Sedentary lifestyle is pretty, pretty common right now. We will talk about that as well, but it's basically just sitting every day in the office or somewhere, so it's quite common. We will talk about that, how to, what we can do with that to improve. High stress, no movement, so no exercising, and his estimated biological age from 55 to 70 years. And that's crazy. So it's really hard because like biological age, to be honest, is like not very precise, and with just habits it's really hard to say like precise number, but you can see the difference. Their chronological age is the same, while biological age is different, like 20 years. Okay, from let's say like from 10, from 10 to even like almost 30 years. This is crazy. That's basically how person feels himself. So someone in 50 feels like the 10 years younger, and someone like 10 years older, and that's just because of their habits basically. And it's nothing like too fancy. It's just sleep, eat, exercise. So don't do some bad habits like smoking, a lot of alcohol. Of course, it's like not any of those habits can do all of that, drastic change, but they all put some small amount. Okay. Exercise is like brushing your teeth, so we're switching back to exercise. And you need it for health, as you pick brush and toothpaste you like, pick type of exercise and activity you like. Just think about it, that if you don't like going to the gym, you don't need to. If you don't like running, jogging, whatever, You don't need to. Find whatever you like. I think it's pretty simple and hard at the same time. So maybe it's some sport. Maybe you like, I don't know, tennis. Maybe you like something else. Just do some activity, basically. There are a few simple guidelines what activity should consist of, yeah. But most of sports cover it. You can, yeah. Okay, yeah. Let's continue with why we need to move. Movement is basically what we built for. So a few hundred years, people just didn't sit in front of computer or in the office all day. They just moved a lot. They did some agriculture, hunting, whatever. They were moving basically 80% of their day, I'd say. Movement is cardiovascular health, muscle and bone strength, longevity and biological use. Yeah, as we figured out, biological age, mental health. Movement also improves mental health, disease prevention, better rhythm function, so you can move, actually move around. Yeah, go buy some groceries, whatever. You have more energy, better vitality, and there's another kind of proverb: to feel good, stay strong, live long, and protect the mind and body from breaking down. Movement, it's not punishment, it's freedom. You can just basically move around and do whatever you want. Okay, let's continue. VO2 max. Just put it simply, VO2 max stands for maximal oxygen consumption. If really simply, we breathe air, right? But not of this oxygen is processed. So, and the amount of oxygen you can process is basically some number. And the more you can process, the better. So basically, your body can take more oxygen, especially during high intensity exercise. And the higher your VO2 max, basically the amount of oxygen you can process, the more oxygen your body can use, and the better your endurance and overall health. We'll talk about it later, but VO2 max in general is pretty good predictor of your endurance and cardiovascular health. Let's firstly talk how it's measured. Ideally, if you, for example, for some studies, it's tested in the lab. For example, on a treadmill or a bike while breathing into a machine. There is basically a special mask that people breathe in and breathe out, and the amount of CO2 they breathe out is calculated to just check the amount of basically the number of VO2 max. But there are simple ways, don't worry. There are also smartwatches and fitness apps that give estimates. For example, Garmin, Apple Watch, or a few other watches. Almost every popular, I would say right now, can measure your VO2 max. What you need to do? I think you can check with a watch, but usually it's 15 to 20 minutes some activity outdoors. Usually they're fine even with walking. So basically go outside, walk maybe in some park for 20 minutes with GPS, or just check the activity walking, and it can predict your VO2 max. It's not the same, it's not that accurate as with treadmill or bike or whatever. So like in the lab, but it's also a pretty good predictor. Maybe like a few points plus or minus, but it's pretty good. And another one is Cooper test. Cooper test is basically running for 12 minutes and then measuring the distance that you ran. And there are a bunch of online calculators where you put the distance that you ran and it can predict your VO2 max. But for those who doesn't like running, for example, I would say smartwatches is the best option, to be honest. It's pretty good. Like, yeah, you can. It's not, yeah, if you're not elite athlete, but you just want to get the more or less to understand in what category we will talk about it right now. The categories of VO2 max, you can just use smartwatch or something like that. You can even just borrow someone's watch. I don't know. Basically, 20 minutes activity, and you can check it in the app with most modern watches, especially if you have them. Okay. Let's continue. Yeah, it's measured in liters of oxygen per minute per kilogram of body weight. So yeah, VO2 max. Why it's important? As I mentioned already, it's your cardiovascular fitness, so it's a really good predictor of your fitness. Studies show that VO2 max is one of the best predictors of life expectancy. Yeah, there are a few grip strengths, VO2 max, and a few others, basically predictors of life expectancy, and VO2 max is one of them. Athletes use VO2 max to gauge aerobic capacity and endurance potential. So basically, for endurance athletes, like who run, cycle, swimming, VO2 max for them quite important, especially if they do long distance. And of course, VO2 max can improve with training. So better VO2 max, better energy, mood, and mental sharpness. Yeah, you can process more oxygen, and in general, it's good for your body, for your health. Here, VO2 max measurements. On top of males, on the bottom of females, and basically here are the age, like 20, 29, 30, 39, and so on. You can make a screenshot or just find in the Google, just Google it or whatever. There's a bunch of them. They're quite different, but in general the numbers are pretty the same. As you can see, that VO2 max decrease with age for a few points. Yeah, so ideally would be to be in a good category. Yeah, for your age, that's already pretty good. If you work out quite often, you can be an excellent superior, and so on. VO2 max limitations. Basically, why we talk about VO2 max, why it's important to us. It's pretty good to know. First of all, VO2 max can drop 5 to 20% due to typical respiratory illness, so like cold, something like that. So your body can't process that much oxygen and it can drop. So if you train regularly and see drop in VO2 max, for example, after sickness, it's okay. It can take from 1 week to a few weeks to recover back to normal. But if your VO2 max falls below 18 milliliter per kilogram per minute for either gender, it often suggests difficulty with everyday tasks. What do I mean by everyday tasks? For example, just moving around, buying groceries, going to the supermarket, walking up the stairs, so it gets difficult. And you need to be aware, like if you like, for example, have 20, 25 VO2 max, but with illness it can drop 20%. So from 25 it can be like 20. So you're already quite close to this 18 milliliter per kilogram per minute. So you need to be careful. So better to have at least some, even with age, better to have some gap. Yeah, so like 30, 40, 50 more. So to have more, to understand that if you have 20, that's just some light illness and it will be already hard to move. Could be already hard to move. Improving aerobic fitness can raise VO2 max and make daily activities easier. Yeah, so just some regular exercise, to be honest, doesn't matter the age. Even if person like 70, 80 years old, it's also possible to gain muscle, like improve bone health, improve cardiovascular health. It's also possible. So, like as per, for example, for some martial arts, there are basically two options when good to start. First is when you're 5 or 6 years old, and the second one is right now. So just start, and you'll see improvements. Cardio activity guidelines. Moderate activity, 150 to 300 minutes per week at 50 to 70% of max heart rate. For example, brisk walking, light cycling, jogging, hiking, dancing, I would say gardening, so like doing something in the garden, like taking care of flowers or whatever, also can be here. And vigorous activity, 75 to 150 minutes per week, at 70 to 85% max heart rate. It's moderate or fast cycling or jogging, so jogging, for example, 8 kilometers per hour and faster. Jumping rope, swimming, rowing, high intensity interval training, we'll talk about that, etc. How to understand, yeah, because it's hard, like difference between moderate and vigorous activity. Moderate activity is basically when you can do some activity, for example, brisk walking. You walk, but not very slowly. You walk like in pretty good tempo, like maybe 4, 5 kilometers per hour, something like that. You walk and you can speak with someone without being like out of breath. You can speak. But if, for example, you do some light jogging or you do some jogging, and it's hard for you to speak with someone at the same time as you do some activity, then it means that it's already vigorous activity. Chances are. That's basically that simple. Okay, real life weekly cardio examples, yeah? Because we all have lives and it's not clear what are those. For example, scenario A, basic health focus. Walk briskly for 30 minutes 5 times per week. You already have 150 minutes of moderate cardio. To be honest, yeah, it's not hard. Go if you drive everywhere. Okay, you can just go to the supermarket by without your car, or just go drive to some park and just walk around and enjoy nature. Ideally, would be brisk walking, of course, for it to be at least like moderate cardio. Scenario B, improves endurance and VO2 max. It's walk or bike for 40 minutes 3 times per week and add some HIIT, high intensity interval training, for 2 times per week. High intensity interval training is basically, quick example, there are a bunch of videos online on YouTube or whatever platform you use. It looks like that. For example, you do some jumping jacks, some activity for 20-30 seconds, then you have 10 maybe to 30 seconds rest, then you do some other activity or the same, and basically it continues for, I don't know, 15 to 20 minutes usually, maybe 10 to 20 minutes. It's quite demanding, so it's, yeah, quite hard, but you can do that, let's say. You can also do some other, it's just an example, because HIIT is pretty easy to do, like at home, for example, yeah, and it's quick. uh, my point is that ideally to do both like moderate and vigorous activity, but you can do only one of them. So basically you can do just walk a lot and you're pretty good with your cardio. Ideally would be to do both, like for example brisk walking or some cycling or something for moderate activity, and maybe a bit more hard, so like uh, more intense jogging, cycling, rowing, whatever, HIIT maybe for vigorous activity. At least some part. You don't need like to do 70 minutes, yeah, like 150 minutes, but at least do. Of course, you better if you want to do more intense workouts, yeah, better to consult with your doctor, like if you can do that. Um, yeah. Okay. Let's continue with sedentary lifestyle. As I already mentioned, the cons. What's bad about it? Poor cardiovascular health. Because we sit every day, we don't use our body. Accelerated biological aging, the same. So it's basically, I would say, this modern bad habit. Increased risk of chronic diseases, mental health decline, joint stiffness and pain. I think probably most of us notice that if you sit every day, your back can hurt, maybe neck because we sit here like that. So yeah, and sitting is the new smoking. It's not just catchy phrase; it's backed by data. So There are quite a lot of studies already with sedentary lifestyle. Yeah, so if people sit like 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, and I think every few hours increase the risk of uh, premature death. Yeah, so like decrease the lifespan by some percent. But what we can do to basically offset that? We can, like, it's possible. So you don't need to just quit your job, or I don't know, buy a standing desk or something to just do whatever, switch jobs, or yeah, to just not sit. uh, First is exercise next. In my opinion, it's one of the most useful ones. What exercise next? It's from, I would say, even from 30 seconds to 5 minutes of some activity. For example, squats, jumping jacks, walking up the stairs, push ups, and ideally to do them every 1 to 2 hours. The goal is to elevate your heart rate slightly and to just move your body. So when you sit, yeah, your legs tight, and you need to move around to improve the blood flow and to improve your cardiovascular health a bit. Yeah, what else? Daily walking, aim for 10,000 steps a day. It can be one long walk, even short walks for 5-10 minutes each time, doesn't matter. Yeah, I would prefer probably a few long walks, maybe, or just a few walks throughout the day. And do some more general activity. Stand or pace during phone calls, use stairs rather than elevators, if it's less than, I don't know, five floors maybe. If it's more than 5 floors, it could be hard already for some, yeah. But general is just move. Basically, split the time you sit prolonged into small batches, right? So basically, you don't sit for 5 hours straight. Yeah, for example, you had breakfast, you 5 hours spent in front of a computer, and then just go do something else. Try to split it. Like work, maybe like 1 hour, then just have a short break for exercise snacks. Then maybe after in 30 minutes do just walk around. Yeah. To be honest, for exercise snack, you also don't need to do like some jumping jacks. In my opinion, it's pretty simple, yeah, but you don't need to do it. You can just walk around. Maybe just walk not like 1 minute, yeah, but close to 3-5 minutes. Just walk around the office, your room, whatever. Just move a bit. Maybe stretch slightly. Just move around. Okay. Now we came to summary. First is try to figure out your VO2 max, just to know your current level, to understand what you have right now, what's your cardiovascular level. You can uh, start doing some cardiovascular exercises, and you'll see with time it will slowly improve. Select cardio activities that you can make a habit. Really, don't do some crazy stuff at the beginning, I would say. For example, I don't know, don't like go prepare to triathlon or marathon or something like that. Just start with something simple. For example, walk every day for 30 minutes, or 5 times a day, 4 times a week for 30 minutes. Maybe start jogging or cycling, find whatever you like. Maybe you like some sport, maybe try a new sport that has some cardio activity. A lot of sports has cardio activity. Some combat, tennis, football, volleyball, or whatever. Like almost all of them has some cardio activity. Maybe it's changing, so like you stay and jog or whatever, but it's still a cardio activity. Use exercise snacks to offset sedentary lifestyle and just move a bit more. So if you spend, and most of us, yeah, spend their day in front of computers, just sitting, just do some exercise snacks. It's not hard. If you don't want to do some like push-ups, squats, jumping jacks, just walk around like 3-5 minutes, perfect. Then continue doing whatever you want. Like get back to sitting or whatever you want. Ideally, in my opinion, would be maybe like not right now it's popular the tables that can change the height, so you can stand for some time. Just it's maybe easier to just move around when you're standing. Yeah, you don't need to get up or whatever. Yeah, that's also a good idea. I saw some people got a treadmill, so they walk and work at the same time. That's also an option. And just enjoy exercise. That's basically the whole point. If you can find the exercise that you enjoy, that's awesome. Just do what you like. Like, don't look into other people and don't try to compare them to yourself to them. Just find exercise that you enjoy, that you can make a habit, and do that. What's next? On the next meetup, likely we'll talk about hypertrophy training, strength training, injury prevention, and yeah, basically that's all. That will be our goal for the next meetup. And here again the QR code and a link to website. Basically the link is the same as in QR code, so for those who can't scan you can just type it. And basically that's all. If you have any questions, just please write in the chat. I'll be here for a few minutes. I can answer them. The idea is to make meetups quite often, maybe like once a week. If in the future, if everything will go as planned, maybe it will be 2 meetups per week, but we'll see. And they will be like this, I think, 30 to 60 minutes, and to just with some helpful healthy habits, with some practical advices that you can just use the same day. Yeah, start to improve your health slightly. The main here, in my opinion, is consistency. So just find a habit that you can do that is healthy habit and can improve something, and just stay consistent with it. Okay, looks like no questions, so then that's all. Thank you everyone. I'll create a new meetup soon on the meetup.com, or you can just follow this YouTube channel. That for now meetups will be here. Maybe in some time we'll check for other platforms, but for now it's here, and you can find it here or on meetup.com. Thank you everyone, and thank you for your interest in health, in science, and how it works, and healthy habits, and have a nice evening.